Oh yeah. So, uh, hmm, um, as a further note here, uh, so uh, uh, important to qualify normalcy in some ways, and so if we're designing ways to encroach and capitalize, in the case of constitutional economics, or and I don't know if that's an export value, but so uh, hmm, uh, so let's see now. Bruce Bruno Mesquita. The logic of political survival was a paper, and I just briefly skimmed. So there's logic, and it's very basic logic, and so that's some public face for what people would adapt to uh, if they wanted a proximity to some kind of intellectual and economic credibility that has been put forward. If it is, we participate. There's SQL and all these different things that track public velocity. But so, very interesting. Someone who understands why things happen the way they do, and I think of the Pope sometimes. I think forfeiture of public intent and governance, perhaps. What we mutualize is in some cases actually the best for us, So consideration about public well-being and so what we're exclusive to. I thought of Tom Steyer, and I thought, my goodness, Donald Trump, it's hard to say. I speculate about this, but what certain people have to deal with in terms of public interest and stabilizing their own perspective. And stability is really what we want. It's very important. I also put forward the idea of, you should calculate your carrot cake. If you go to the shop in the morning and buy some carrot cake, think of the economic traceability to how you arrive there, because too often, there's something wrong with systemic acumen, and I'm in a rough situation justifies all kinds of assertions about what's actually wrong, which isn't always the case. So it's good to know a bit, So this is not the same as if there's an insurmountable problem, entitlement, we'll do more of other things. This is, we're entitled to the basics, and it's at a reasonable level, price levels and whatnot for everyone. So the logic of political survival, interesting. So I thought of Tom Steyer, and I thought, really, if there's origination, it's probably far from Donald Trump. So I don't know, you know, and things have been going. I think there was one instance in which there was funding for a scientific organization, and some of this points the way towards less focus on science, because we know there's something wrong with climate or natural system, and more focus on where's the infrastructure input. So some of that infrastructure advice from the OSTP from the previous administration doesn't become some kind of subtle negative inflection, you know, in milieu where we all know that we just don't conform to what is actually competent and logical as an inertia and human survival. So the more we see, the more we react, you know, and so that's the executive as it is now. A lot of people find that there isn't enough being done, where there's difficulty with reasonable exposure to facilitate public competence, and so that should help. So it's a toss-up, you know. More civilians, you know, it's interesting. And at times, you know, the best people. Anyways, so introspection or decline, you know, we're hopeful. And perhaps some of that political survival is not best focused on what's symbolic, but knowing the influence that approximates inertia towards carbon abatement. All right, where are we at here? Carbon abatement. As far as I know, we all still exist on the same planet. And as there's been omniscience, there's still the exception of less carbon. We just don't know how. But that could change. All right, bye.